why most women hate men in 2023. Most
Good try, buddy, but no, too politically correct. So here's the real version, and it starts a long time ago. So women got the vote, right? And here's what happens. For millions of years, the way that resources were transferred between men and babies was via women. So it would go man to woman, woman to babies. But when women got the vote, there was an incentive change, and the state started getting an incentive to stop that transaction so that it can extract taxation from it. So the state got an incentive to make men and women hate each other so that the state would mediate that transaction, and the way that the resources would go from males to babies, because males are the most productive and babies, they're not productive at all, is man, and then via taxation the state, and then from the state to women, and then from women to babies. So all political parties got like an incentive to basically change politics in such a way as to make the genders hate each other. And that started when the female suffrage happened a long time ago. So that's the first initial part of what happened. And then after that, we got a complicated set of technological transformations that allowed women to work because a lot of the work became no longer physical enough to make that much of a difference. Like the difference in strength between males and females is about twofold, but the difference in IQ is only 4.5. On average, and the distribution of women is narrower, so there's fewer geniuses. So if you're confused about why is it 4.5 but there's so many fewer female geniuses, that's why. Anyway, so those things basically incentivized women from the perspective of the corporate overlords to come into the fold so that the labor cost would go to half, and they would become a little bit richer. So it was useful to concentrate wealth. And then on top of that, like a few men were able to acquire the pinnacles of glory and become those corporate, like super duper people who were extremely powerful. And in doing so, it became advantageous to those men to create open sexuality. Because what happens when there's open sexuality, you've probably seen that graph like a million times. It's like all the women are pointing up to the top man right here. So in conclusion, these men decided that like, okay, there's this ideology here that, like there's a bunch of old hags who are resentful of not having found a husband and stuff, and they're trying to promote this thing. They're calling it feminism. But the good thing is it allows us, the corporate overlords who took over all the money, and also as the politicians who are kind of like using the system to taxate men, to get access to all the sexually available young women, as long as we ideologically brainwash them. And it's easy because they're gullible, they're young, and women are just more influential by like harmonic convergence of ideas around them. For women, it is more important to be in harmony with the people around them than with the truth, which makes sense because, again, they have like half the strength of men. They don't want to be in conflict. It doesn't make any sense. It's evolutionarily unstrategic for them. And in their evolutionary strategy, they're also seeking like those field top men who are the corporate and the political overlords. In that process, what happened is that a lot of young gullible women were brainwashed into feminism, and then like kaboom, Oppenheimer levels of change. The atomic bomb of the contraceptive pill was dropped, and that completely changed mating dynamics in a way that is like completely like unimaginable. But it facilitated all that, right? Because it became easier for the corporations to like sequester the women into the labor force without having to pay for their pregnancies and their babies and all that stuff that doesn't give me profit, right? So it was perfect, right? And yeah, so once they had like this perfect system going on, the only thing that was basically stopping this from like going completely haywire and into like an exponential explosion of absolute chaos in the mating dynamics of humans is that there was still like a locality to existence, and you would only interact with like the people who are around you, the people who are in your corporation and stuff like that, the people who are closer to you in rank. And then boom, the second the second atomic bomb just dropped into the technological world, and discrete messaging became prevalent in 2012. Ever since, it has only taken two people to actually engage in sexual congress. So basically, the community had no longer a say in it, the church had no say in it, the family had no say in it. It literally only takes a lady and a boy, and if they decide to do so, they'll do the deed. You can stop them. I can stop them. No one can stop them. Okay? So what that caused is like that graph that was like a few women kind of like focalizing on a few men. Jeez, man, that's like two guys now, and like, oh, the ladies. So yeah, so those are the forces that are actually operating and making men and women hate each other. And then of course, women are gonna feel like pressured in one or another way, and they're gonna feel like the guys are not as good as what the globalized video guys that they saw somewhere, who are like incredibly superior to the rank. Like they're not gonna settle for less than the best guys in the best videos that they have seen, because we're apes. We don't know who is like actually here and who's just in video. Right? Like, you don't know me, you're just seeing me in a video. Like, who do you think you are to talk to someone as high rank as I? You see what I'm saying? So basically, yeah. So that's what actually destroyed all the mating dynamics. It was like the two atom bombs were the biggest factors, right? The contraceptive pill and the prevalence of discrete messaging after 2012. And the voting was the thing that created the incentives for the state and for the political parties. And now here we are. And that's why there's a war of the genders. We don't really know what to do. Anyone who tells you they have a solution, bullshit. They don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody has a plan. The conservatives are lying to you. The Democrats are lying to you. The feminists have always been lying to you from the beginning, okay? Nobody has a plan.